So I'm just going to throw in this. I'm just going to put it in the corner and let the paper pull the pigment and the water. See how it's breaking up here? The capillary action. And that's going to pull it across the page and give me some clouds as well as along the way. Okay, I like that. Now typically skies get paler as they come down towards the shore, towards the earth I should say, but in this case that's not happening. What I want to do now is just put some water on this side and I'm just going to try, and then I'm just going to let the gravity take over. I'd like to keep that. There we go, it's got a little colour in it but not much, and that's what I'm aiming for. Just want to soften these edges somewhat. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and not touch it. See, I have learnt. And the sea on this side is very dark and choppy and magnificent. So I'm going to do this exactly the same thing, but I'm going to put my Prussian with the Payne's Grey that I already have here. I'm just going to see how that's rushing in. And it's kind of moody looking. And this is a choppy sea, so I don't want my I'm going to use a different brush to just pull some of this colour over this way. But I'm going to do it in exactly the same way. This is all experimental, by the way. I have watched oodles and oodles and oodles of tutorials. Because I am not, this is not my natural medium. Right, maybe it needs a little more pigment to make it actually run. Mix up a little more with a bit more of the blue. I'm just going to put it on this side, especially down in the corner here, where I want it to be very dramatic. That happening, so I'm just going to pull that out. I do want to connect these, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Sometimes you do see rain bursts at the sea on the coast there, and the line between the, the ocean and its and the sky is a little blurred. So I'm going to leave some highlights just on this side. In my photograph there's nothing that bright, but I want it to dry before I do anything else to that. And I am just going to make the two meet. Okay. I'm going to see if I can just take a little more of the pigment out in this area. So I've got a nice bright area of light. What's actually quite a dark picture. Yeah, look, see, that came out quite nicely. There we go. It doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. I'm going to just soften this because this is quite a soft sky. That's almost dry. It's dry enough. There are some very moody little clouds up here, so I'm going to be very careful, and I'm just going to not replicate so much what I see on the photograph, because that's just not going to work at this scale, but I can try approximating some of the shades. See how this, because it's still a little damp, some of the paint is being pulled up into the cloud shapes, and that's perfect. Actually, I want to take some of that out. That one got a little bit bigger than I would like, so I'm going to just pick some of the paint up, just lift it, and that works perfectly well for me, because there is a very moody part of the sky here just below the clouds that is incredibly dark. So that works for that one. I think I'm just gonna literally just touch the tip of my brush to the paper and see what happens. So, and when it's very dry, like it's pretty dry on this side, so I'm just going to wet my brush, not pick any pigment up, and just paint with, the wet brush, just to encourage it to move a little and soften a little. Too dry. I think it's fine to add a teensy bit more pigment. Yeah, small amounts seem to be winner winner chicken dinner. Now, one of the things that will happen in this area, because I'm going in with a much darker, next to a very bright high key area, is it's going to highlight, make this area appear much brighter, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. I want to be careful not to put too many clouds in, despite my photograph being quite cloudy. Tiniest bit of colour into this cloud. There we go. Yeah. Now, if this was a much bigger painting, I don't think I'd need to be quite so cautious and careful. This is just 3 inches by 3 inches square, and so it would be very easy to overwhelm the area and just flood it. And I really don't want to do that. So this band of cloud is right above the part where the water meets the sky. So this will be my horizon line, and this is still sky up here. So, and I can go a little bit wilder on the side with the clouds, because this side I want it to look quite stormy. I feel like I might have been at sea when I took this. I'm just going to lift some of that out. These as well. I think I'd rather build those up slowly. I'm just dropping little bits of Payne's grey at the base here, just letting them run up. Now, there are some higher clouds up here, but they're very pale. So I might actually use Davy's grey for this. It's a very pale grey, so if I don't like it, I can change it. And it's slightly warmer, so I'm just going to pop a little bit in this area to suggest some higher, warmer clouds. Okay, I feel like I don't want to mess with that too much more, but I'm going to add a few more down here in this area, because this is a storm rolling through, I believe. That's what it looks like. Oh, I quite like that. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. And I am going to bring a wash of this grey into the water here, just on this side, because there are highlights that don't really work. Okay, so the bottom of my picture, I actually want it to look a little more black, so I'm going to put a little sepia with the Payne's grey on here. and that will get me a nice warm dark colour. And I'm just going to put it in this area, and it's really quite watered down, so hopefully that's not going to be too much. I'm going to use it as well to just put some waves in. Water is tricky, but it's fun to try and paint. I feel like it's going to take lots of studies to actually do it justice, but I'm just going to soften some of this. Okay, that's as much of that colour as I want to put in this. I'm going to pull a little bit over this side for balance, but not much. You see that the blue is still coming through there. So I'm just going to draw waves. I don't know if this is the right way to do this or the wrong way to do this, or if there's an easier way to do it, but this is what I'm going with, and I'm just hoping it works. Might be easier if I let it dry, right? Let's do that. I'm just gonna just a little bit underneath these clouds, just to add to this drama that I'm trying to build up here. So I'm just taking a very clean brush, and I'm just using it, I'm just scrubbing a little bit at the clouds edges in the hopes that it will just soften up the lines here, because I really don't want hard lines. Unless it's on the bottom of the cloud, and even then, not as much. Okay, that's worked quite well. So I don't want too much water in my brush, but I just want enough to make the pigment move a little bit. And actually, I'm going to see if I can just soften the top edges of these as well. I think maybe I fuss too much with watercolor. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, where are we at? It's still drying. Let's see if I can achieve what I want this way. So I'm hoping to just throw in some little peaks. That seems to be working well for me. So far so good. I'll try and remember where my horizon line is and not paint above it. I feel like that was it right there. I'm not really enjoying this area. It should be so much smoother. So I'm just gonna see if I can do something about that. I've just got water on my brush now. Let's see if I can smooth some of this area out. While it's stormy and the water is a little choppy, it's not, you know, it's not violent. Just dropping some paint in. I'm not liking the way this is going at all, so the whole ocean may end up darker than intended, and that's okay. It's one of those days, you know, some days you win, some days you lose. And woke up with a cracking headache this morning. Probably allergies. Okay, let's just soften some of this. Okay, I feel like this, I can feel like a little voice in my head saying stop. So, okay. More of the hard edge there that I missed. See if I can just scrub it a little bit. And drop a little bit of my Davies grey in, just to, there we go. Actually, that's not too terrible. Okay, if I take the tape off, I will have to stop, right?